Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Death Do Us Part, a paranormal experience.
Follow us on Instagram.
It's the official Death Do Us Part Paranormal. Like I said last week, we're the ones with the flower, the ones with the little bow tie. That is us.
Let's get it.
Wait, I want to give a shout out.
Do it.
Yeah, Dustin. We had a little contest on our Instagram page, and we were giving out free stickers for anyone that tagged a friend and followed our page. And Dustin won our giveaway. So congratulations, Dustin. I hope you're enjoying your sticker. And I sent extra stickers out, so pass them around.
Yeah, have a good time with the stickers.
Yeah. Well, he said he was like a sticker person, and I never realized how many people were like crazy about stickers.
I love stickers.
Yeah, but I didn't realize people were still into stickers like that until we did this contest. Because then there was people messaging me. They're like, I'm a sticker freak. Like, where can I buy them? And I was saying, you need to figure out our PayPal. Because when it comes to that kind of stuff, I don't know how to do it. So, yeah. What kind of merch should we do, guys? Like, email us if you have any, like, merch ideas. If you like our logo and you like to listen to us, like, what would you wear? Do you want hats? Do you want...
Hoodies?
Yeah.
Crew neck?
Yeah.
Hoodies? Zip-ups?
We got to order more stickers because apparently they're
Pajama
a hot commodity.
pants?
Yeah. Oh, you know what we should do? You know, we can, like, the front license plate. We should get our logo on the front license plate of our car.
That's a great idea.
I think I'm going to look into that. That's really neat. I just thought about that because the boardwalk, something, I guess because we're going away.
You should get it reversed so when you're looking in the rearview mirror, it says it the right way.
Oh,
Would that be
good
cool
one,
or what?
Christopher. I guess I thought of that because we're going to AC this weekend. And I was
Shout
thinking,
out
like,
AC.
yeah, I've been having itchy palms all this week. So hopefully it's a sign and we're going to win big.
And if we do, our YouTube is on the way.
And if we don't, Chris will be miserable.
I don't like to gamble and lose.
No, but you know what? It's just for the experience. We're going to get some good food. We're going to go away. We're going to have a nice day because we never really treat ourselves and go away and do anything.
Right.
So we're going to go down to the Jersey Shore. All right, guys. Oh, wait. Do you want to tell everyone about our haunted ornament that your mom my mother-in-law brought to our house?
Yeah, so this thing's motion censored.
It is. And it's like a little toy. Wait, I should go grab it.
Yeah, grab it.
Tell them and I'll grab it.
So it's motion censored and it goes off whenever someone walks in front of it. And my son put it in his room before he went to his mom's house. And Samantha was here all alone. And the door was shut. And the ornament kept going off.
Yeah, it just kept going off. And, like, I kept on hearing something. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And this is what I'm hearing from the other room. Okay, you guys get the idea. But the thing is, every time I went to go hear it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to catch it this time, I would put the TV on mute, and then it would just stop. And, like, it's motion censored. So eventually, I figured out that it was actually motion censored when I went in to put something in Camden's room, and I hovered over top of it, not on purpose, and then it started going off. So I, like, turned it around, and I'm like, I'm turning this shit off. Right. So last night we were like talking about it and we were like saying like, oh, it could be so creepy if it just went off while we were talking about it. We literally sat there and waited for that thing to go off. And
I was convinced it was going to go off. I was freaking myself out.
Yeah.
I told Samantha I'd sprint out of the apartment if it went off.
I'm like, Christmas songs are not scary. He's like, well, the idea of what is happening is scary. And I'm like, you little chicken shit. Like, I want something to happen. Like... So that's our story of the haunted ornament. Hopefully it starts doing something soon. Our dog's being a nutcase. Anyway, all right. You want to get started?
Let's get started.
All right. We're going to be talking about urban legends this week.
Urban legends.
The first urban legend we're going to dig into tonight is called the boyfriend's death. This story has been circulating since 1964, and there's a couple different variations. So, two teenagers. It's a teenage boy. He's driving his girlfriend home from a date. The boy had been playing around earlier about the car running out of gas as a means to make out with her. I guess he thought, oh, let me act like the car's running out, and I'll get her where I want her.
Smooth.
Well, it doesn't work, and she's mad. He starts up the car to take her home, apologizing all the way, when lo and behold, they actually do run out of gas. He pulls the car over by some trees. It's very late and the area is secluded and wooded. The boy tells his girlfriend that he saw a gas station a couple miles back. He tells her just to stay in the car with the windows rolled up and locked, and he'll get back as fast as he can. No sense in them both going, right?
Right.
I mean, actually, not right in my mind. Well, the girl waits in the car. It's been about 20 minutes when she hears a faint scratching noise. It starts to bother her, but she blows it off as the tree branches hitting the car. It had been windy that day anyway. She decides to turn on the radio to listen to some music so it won't freak her out. Well, now it's been almost 2 hours and she starts to get a little bit worried. Her boyfriend was a jock and could have easily made it there and back in under an hour. A half hour later, she's very worried and decides to turn off the radio and look around. He had told her not to get out under any circumstances, so she tries to peer out the window. She sees nothing. To her annoyance, the scratching sound is still there. She decides that she will get out just long enough to break off that damn branch. She gets out and notices the gas can on the ground near the door. She immediately turns around and sees her boyfriend hanging upside down from the tree.
Throat slit.
His fingernails dragging across the top of the car, making a scratching sound. Of course, had she been listening to talk radio instead of music, she would have known that a maniac had escaped from the asylum near the woods where they parked.
Oh, shit.
That was pretty spooky, but another variation of that story, it says that a cop shows up and he tells her to get out of the car, and as he's bringing her to his police car, he's like, whatever you do, don't look back. And what happens when someone tells you not to do something? Like, you automatically want to do it.
Look back at it.
Exactly. So she's walking to the car and she turns around and her boyfriend's head is on the antenna of the car.
Barf.
Yeah. What would be scarier to you? Like someone hanging from a tree scratching with a throat slipped, or a head on an antenna? Like, they're both pretty scary.
So his head was gone while he was swinging upside down.
No. And this one, his head was not gone. He was just, his throat was slit.
That's the
and he was
variation.
But the other one was that his head was on the antenna, but there was no body. I feel like, I mean, they're both scary, but the head being on the antenna is scariest.
Definitely.
All right, let's get into the next one. The next urban legend we're going to dig into is called the babysitter. This story came about in the 1960s. A young couple living in a large isolated house had gone out to a dinner party one evening and left the babysitter in charge of their 2 children. The children had been put to bed, and the babysitter was watching the television when the phone rang. She answered, but all she heard was a man laughing hysterically and then a voice saying, "I'm upstairs with the children, you'd better come up." Thinking it was one of those phone calls or a practical joke, she slammed down the phone and turned the television sound up. A short time later, the phone rang again. As she picked it up, the unmistakable hysterical laughter came through the line and said, "I'm upstairs with the children, you better come up." Getting rather frightened, she called the operator and was advised that they would notify the police. Should he call again, she should keep him on the phone, this way they can trace the phone call and have him arrested. Minutes after she replaced the receiver, the phone rang again, and when the voice said, "I'm upstairs with the children, you'd better come up," she tried to keep him talking. However, he must have guessed what she was trying to do and put the phone down. Only seconds later, the phone rang again, and this time it was the operator who said, "Get out of the house right away. The man is on the extension." The babysitter put down the phone and just then heard someone coming down the stairs. She fled from the house and ran straight into the arms of the police. They burst into the house and found a man brandishing a large butcher's knife. He had entered the house through an upstairs window and murdered both the children and was just about to do the same to the poor babysitter. That shit is scary. And that reminds me of Black Christmas.
I never saw Black Christmas.
It's creepy. The call's coming from inside the house. One of the variations, like an alternate humorous version of this, it was that the babysitter runs out of the house without seeing the murderer, and then police discover it was one of the kids upstairs just prank phone calling her. So there's many different variations of
I
this
like
one.
that ending.
Yeah.
But did you notice that she just left her kids in there by themselves in the first ending?
She did. What a horrible babysitter. Like, I mean, I know she goes out and she finds out that there's a guy in there.
It's like, they ain't my kids.
No, they're not. But she goes outside, running out of the house. I mean, the person on the line, the operator, told her to. But, like, you have a responsibility to make sure these kids are okay. And she's kind of
like, they ain't your kids. Get out of there.
Yeah, she's just like, all right, deuces. And then leaves the kids, and then they end up dead anyway.
Oh,
They did.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the next one. You want to do the honors with this one? This is about the black-eyed kids. Not the black-eyed peas.
Yeah, don't get it messed up.
The black-eyed kids.
The black-eyed children, also called black-eyed kids, are mysterious beings that look to be of kids between the ages of 6 and 16 years old. They only appear at night and to unexpected adults alone in parking lots or in their homes. The kids come in groups of 2 or more and often ask for favors. The favor could be to make a phone call, to get a ride home, to come in and get something to eat, or to use the bathroom. The few people who have had interactions with the black-eyed kids express feeling unexplainable fear when the children are near. No one really knows where they come from. Extraterrestrial, UFOs, vampires, and of course demons are a number of the assumptions around the kids. Brian Bethel was one of the first people to document having met black-eyed children in real life. He published a transcription of the event on his blog back in 1998. The following is part of his story. It was around 9:30 p.m. on January 16, 1998, and Brian left his apartment in Alberline, Texas for the Dropbox to pay his internet bill. On the way, he stopped at the Dollar movie theater next to his service provider's building to use the glow of the marquee as light to make out his check. As he did this, there was a knock on the window and saw 2 young boys. He placed them between 10 and 14 years old. He described the boys as, "Boy number 1 was slightly taller than his companion, wearing a pullover hooded shirt with a sort of gray check pattern and chains. I couldn't see his shoes. His skin was olive-colored and had curly, medium-length brown hair. He exuded an air of quiet confidence. Boy number 2 had pale skin with a trace of freckles. His primary characteristic seemed to be looking around nervously. He was dressed in a similar manner to his companion, but his pullover was a light green color. His hair was sort of pale orange. They didn't appear to be related, at least directly." Almost immediately, he knew something was up and felt a sense of fear. The first boy began to tell Bethel that they need his help. They wanted to see the new Mortal Kombat movie but forgot their money. Instead of asking for the money itself, the boy asked for a lift to their house to retrieve it. Our narrator is nervous and hesitant as the first boy continued to try to coax him, saying things like, "Come on, mister, we just want to go to our house, and we're just 2 little boys." And, "Come on, mister, let us in. We can't get in your car until you do, you know. Just let us in, and we'll be gone before you know it. We'll go to our mother's house." Brian Bethel found himself unlocking the door without realizing, and as if instructed by the child to do so. After catching his hands, he looks back at the kids with a fresh perspective. That's when he realized that the kids' eyes were solid black. No iris, no pupil. All the stories of people meeting black-eyed kids claim that once you realize their eyes are all black, things get dangerous. The second boy continued to stand there completely silent while the first boy threatened him, saying, "We won't hurt you. You have to let us in. We don't have a gun." According to Bethel, the boy was implying that they didn't need guns. He started pulling at the door and demanding to be let in. With the courage he managed to find, Bethel pushed his car into reverse and sped home, leaving the boys where he found him.
Wow, that is freaking creepy. I saw another black-eyed kid story. This guy, he was working at a bakery, and I guess it was about to close, and he heard the door open. So he runs out from the back. I guess he was like cleaning up like the dishes or something. He runs out from the back, and all he sees is this little kid. Like, he literally caught like a quick glimpse of this little girl, and the little girl was probably like 4 or 5 years old. But he just got this eerie feeling, and he saw the black eyes, like completely, like they said, like the no pupil, no white around, like just black eyes. this story goes a long way because I actually pulled up a Reddit article and some of them were just giving me the chills. So I wanted to read some of them. So I'll read one right now. And then if you want to do the honors of reading the second one.
Okay.
All right. So this post is from, it's pretty funny, Abraham's Bitch 1. She wrote this story on Reddit. So she says, this happened years ago. I was only 8 years old at the time visiting family in Beaver Creek, Ohio, a suburb of Dayton. It was about dusk outside, and I was riding a small motorized bike around the street, which was a cul-de-sac. No one else was in their front yard, nor on the sidewalk. It was just me in the streets with my bike. I was making the last trip around, going back to the house when I saw 2 kids walking, holding hands, that I didn't see just a minute ago when I looked. I came up on them fast. I slowed down, and I passed them to get a better look. They looked so off. Their skin was white, almost gray. They were wearing tattered black clothing that looked like Halloween costumes, and this was in the middle of July. They both stared at me, and I stared back. My heart was beating so fast. One of them reached out for me to say, "Wait," but I sped away as fast as I could. I made it back to the house and ran upstairs through the garage. My cousin was waiting for me upstairs, who was older than me. I closed the blinds in her room, sat on the windowsill, and peeked through the blinds. She asked me what I was doing, and I explained. She got a little quiet. I kept looking for another 5 minutes, waiting for them to pass by the house. Nothing. I didn't see them walk away, go in any houses, or walk by the house ever. It's like they vanished or ran off in the 1 minute that it took me to get from the garage to the room. I still don't really know how to explain this. I'm not sure if it was a black-eyed kid or weird kids or something else, but either way, I'll never forget that feeling of dread that came upon me when I saw their faces. The next one's spooky, and I'm going to give you the honors to read the most spooky one of the night.
Posted by Charlie 5250. So me and my friend are walking around my neighborhood at night because we were really bored, and we passed this park in my neighborhood and we heard singing. So we looked over at the park and saw a little girl all alone sitting on a swing, and she had long brown hair, a pink polka dot dress, and a red bow in her hair. We couldn't see her super well at first because the park wasn't super well lit, so we kept walking past the park because we felt this overwhelming fear when we saw her without any cause. But as we were walking, still looking at her, she turned her head and stopped singing. She was singing Round the Rosie. Me and my friend, even more scared, were walking a bit faster at that point. But I felt drawn to her, even though I had this overwhelming fear that I also felt like I should go to her. But I fought that and I kept walking. She then stood up from the swing and started walking. When she walked out towards the street, which we're on the other side of, she went under the streetlight, and then I saw it. I made clear eye contact with her and her eyes were pitch black. She then started to run towards us, which only my friend noticed because I was caught up in looking at her eyes. So my friend grabs my arm, pulls me, and yells, "Book it!" So we start running as fast as we can down the street, and once we get to my porch and my mom came outside, we turned around and she was just gone. After that, I had sleep paralysis of her just standing in my room staring at me with her dark, dark eyes. I had a dream about her and I always felt some sort of presence around me, but I never actually saw her out there again. But anytime I'm outside at night, I always feel an extremely strong fear of seeing her again.
Thank you for reading that, Chris, and thank you for trying to pull out your Mark Wahlberg impression. We need to stop watching. We've watched Mark Wahlberg movies every night, like this week, and I guess.
Hey, you're a dog. That's cool. Say hello to your mother for me.
He tried. New Yorkers, or actually, Mark Wahlberg is from Boston. Don't get offended.
I like the accent.
All right, guys, what do you think? Let us know. Surveys, we'll do a survey. Should Chris do the accent again? Email us and let us know.
Yes or no.
I have one last story on the black-eyed kids, and this is from Froggiveness. She wrote on the Reddit page, and she wrote there and said, "Me and my sister went on a road trip a few months ago, and we had recently read about black-eyed kids. So we read stories for about 3 hours, which really freaked us out. The next day, I was with a few of my friends, and we drove down an alley to get into a parking garage. Standing in the center of the alley was an old lady with white hair wearing old-fashioned white clothes. Even from a distance, I could see she was staring at me. As we got closer, I noticed her eyes were completely black. So is this like a black-eyed senior citizen? I started shaking, and I didn't really believe what I was seeing. I really thought that I was fabricating it in my own mind because of having read all them stories just the night before. So I asked my friend in a shaky voice, "Does that lady have black eyes?" And he replied,
Dude, holy shit, what the fuck, man?
Wow.
"Yeah, that was serious." His voice instantly became shaky. We just turned around and went into another entrance into the parking garage. When we walked by the alley again a minute later, she was standing in the same exact spot. Every moment she was in sight, she was staring into my eyes. It was extremely unsettling, but nothing came of it. My friend wasn't just messing with me. We both saw her piercing black eyes. Glad I didn't have to talk to her. I was shaky enough as it was. Haha. She looked to be around 70 years old, though. Black-eyed senior citizens. Oh, she said that too. Really odd experience. That is creepy.
Oh my god, I think that freaked me out more than the other stories.
Really? Well, I guess I couldn't really take your other story. That's serious. I thought the last story was scary when I read it in my own mind, but Chris used that accent and ruined it for us all.
I mean, I suppose that would be pretty scary.
Yeah. So that's some stories on the black-eyed kids, or in this case, black-eyed old lady.
Still not to be mistaken for the Black Eyed Peas.
Yes.
True Crime Slender Man Edition. Slender Man was created back in 2009 by Eric Knudsen, who goes by Victor Surge on the internet. It was for a contest on a website called Something Awful. Specifically, Knudsen designed Slender Man for the Create Paranormal Images thread, which was calling for participants to Photoshop existing photographs. The Slender Man started off as a tall, creepy, slim, spider-like figure photoshopped in the seemingly benign pictures of kids playing. Knudsen's images found their way onto 4chan and then went viral, and soon the Slender Man started appearing in videos, photos, and even games. Minecraft's Enderman character is said to be based on him. In short, Slender Man entered the realm of urban legend, morphing from an internet concoction into a wood-dwelling boogeyman who preys on children. Delightful. Here's Knudsen's explaining on why the Slender Man took off, even though the figure was clearly manufactured.
It differs from the prior concept of the urban legend that is on the internet, and this both helps and harms the status of the Slender Man as one. In my personal opinion, an urban legend requires an audience ignorant of the origin of the legend and needs unverifiable third and fourth hand or more accounts to perpetuate the myth. On the internet, anyone is privy to origins, as evidenced by the very public Something Awful thread. But what is funny is that despite this, it's still spread.
Actually, this article I found, it was on theguardian.com. This is written by Alex Marr, and she tells the story about how these little girls really believed in Slender Man. And so this is what happened. On a Friday night in late spring of 2014, in a small city in Wisconsin, a trio of 6th grade girls got together to celebrate Morgan Geyser's birthday. They skated for hours under the disco lights at the roller rink. Tame, mousy-haired Peyton Lautner, known as Bella, Anissa Wire with her shaggy brown mop top, and Morgan, the quote-unquote best friend. They had in common with her moon of a face, big glasses, and long blonde hair. They were 3 not-so-popular girls at Horning Middle School, a little more childish than the others, a little more obsessed with fantasy and video games and making up scary stories. Morgan cast herself as a creative weirdo. She also related to her new friend Anissa on this level, through science fiction. Anissa, who had almost no other friends, had moved down the block after her parents' recent divorce. When they got back to the birthday girl's house, they greeted the cats, played games on their tablets, and then headed to Morgan's bedroom, where they finally fell asleep. All 3 together in a puppy pile in the twin-size loft bed. The girls made a game out of hurling clumps of silly putty up at the ceiling. They role-played for a while as the android from Star Trek and a troll and a princess, then ate a breakfast of donuts and strawberries. Morgan got her mother's permission to walk to the small park nearby. As they headed to the playground, Bella in the lead, Morgan lifted her plaid jacket to show Anissa what she had tucked into her waistband. A steak knife from the kitchen. Anissa was not surprised. They had talked about this moment for months. After some time on the swings, Anissa suggested they play hide and seek in the suburban woods at the park's edge. There was just a few feet beyond the tree line. Morgan, on Anissa's cues, stabbed Bella in the chest. Then she stabbed her again and again and again, in her arms, in her leg, near her heart. By the time Morgan stopped, she had stabbed her 19 times. Bella, screaming, rose up, but she couldn't walk straight. Anissa braced her by the arm. Both of them were small, and she and Morgan led her deeper into the trees, farther away from the trail. They ordered Bella to lie down on the ground. They claimed they would go and get help. Lying on the dirt and leaves, the back of her shirt turning damp with blood, slowly bleeding out in the woods, Bella was left to die. About 5 hours later, and a few miles away, while resting in the grass alongside Interstate 94, Morgan and Anissa were picked up by a pair of sheriff deputies. The deputies approached them carefully, aware that the girls were possible suspects in a stabbing, but confused by their age. One of the men noticed blood on Morgan's clothes as he handcuffed her. When he asked if she was injured, she said no. Then where did the blood come from? He questioned. She said, I was forced to stab my best friend. Morgan and Anissa did not yet know that Bella, against all odds, had survived. After their arrest, over the course of nearly 9 combined hours of interviews, they claimed that they were compelled to kill her by a monster they had encountered online. When discovered, the girls were making their way to him, heading to Wisconsin's Nicollet National Forest on foot, almost 200 miles north. They were convinced that once there, if they pushed farther and farther into the nearly 700,000-acre forest, they would find the mansion in which their monster dwells, and he would welcome them. Morgan and Anissa had packed for the trip granola bars, water bottles, and photos by which to remember their families. Though they were both very young, Midwestern 12, they had been chosen for a dark and unique destiny that none of their junior high school classmates could possibly understand. Drawn into the forest in the service of a force much greater and more mysterious than anything in their suburban American lives. What drew them out there has a name, Slender Man. He's faceless, he's pale, and impossibly tall. His symbol is a letter X inside a circle. That is horrible. It's so sad that, like, see, it makes me not want to allow my kids to be on the internet, because you don't think that kids would believe something like this because it's just a made up story. But I literally have no words. Like, there's a documentary we watched on this, and the one girl, Anissa, she was kind of like the ringleader of it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed like she had no remorse, but she was truly feared, it seemed like, because she thought that Slender Man was going to hurt her family.
Yeah, she was convinced.
Yeah, so she felt like she had no other choice but to sacrifice Bella. It is so, so sad. What do you think? You seem a little shocked right now. You seem a little, shocked. Chris literally, he was, taking this all in as I was reading this.
Yeah, it's sad thinking about a little girl getting stabbed by her friends like that. Especially after the morning you described they had together. It's
they had
typical,
a fun time.
Typical fun morning. Yeah.
But they had it planned. That's the sick part about it. If you think about all the good, all the fun that they went skating, they were playing with silly putty, they were, doing role playing. How can you do that and not oh, I can't do this. You know what I mean? Just change your mind because you're having so much fun.
I think them supporting each other's decision is what kind of is like peer pressuring each other into it.
I think Anissa peer pressured the other girl that was in on it like a lot. I think she was the big reason why it went through, because I don't think she would have done it by herself.
And do you feel like Slender Man transcended the contest that the guy entered because it was an image that people all over have seen before, and he just put it into a visualization that people could like relate to? It's kind of
yeah, I do think that, because if you Google Slender Man pictures, like he's literally in modern day pictures, and then he's in like pictures he's photoshopped in the pictures from like black and white pictures from back in the day.
Right.
So people seeing something like that, it's like it is like a familiar looking thing.
Yeah, it's like I've dreamt of that before or something.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that before. Like you get deja vu when you look at photos of Slender Man.
I think it sucks for this guy because all he was doing was trying to do a contest, and then his art, if you want to call it art, actually turned into like this girl could have been dead. But it's not his fault, but it's like I wonder what kind of remorse he has from it.
I'm not sure if he should take responsibility for it, because although he did create the images that became famous, is it really the right way to say it that he created Slender Man, or is it something like Slender Man just came through him? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I don't feel like people would resonate to Slender Man if they hadn't already. Because when I heard of Slender Man, I'm like I've heard of that before, but I hadn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just something that's super familiar that we've probably all maybe seen in our dreams, maybe seen it throughout, like maybe we've seen Slender Man before.
Yeah.
But going back to these girls, like I can't even imagine. Like I have no sympathy because they're kids, I don't have sympathy. I have sympathy for their family.
Mm-hmm.
And this other little girl, Bella, that was like left to die.
Yeah.
I just have no words for that whole story. Even reading that, like that was chilling.
It's chilling, and I'm just happy Bella survived. That's great.
Me too. But honestly, if these girls ever get out, like I didn't look into what their sentencing was, but if they do ever get out, like I feel like, because they were so young when it happens, like I hope that they get, like they need to be like in like a psych ward. That's what my opinion is. Until they're...
Yeah, because kids all the time find that stuff, and not everyone's doing that. So there's definitely something wrong with the situation.
Oh, that was crazy, guys. That was super crazy. We hope we didn't kill anyone's mood with that.
Yeah.
We do recommend watching the documentary. Like, it will give more information that you can get, like, more of a background on the girl's family. You can see, like, the interviews that they had, like, in the interrogation room. They also, I'm pretty sure that they interrogated these girls without even contacting their parents. So that was, like, one of the big things that they tried to make a big deal about, that they shouldn't have done that. It's just a wild story, and it's very tragic. But thankfully, the girl's alive. I don't know what she's doing, but I'm sure, like, it's going to take a long, long time if she ever moves on from that. But I would be completely traumatized. All right, guys. That is our episode on urban legends. We hope you didn't, leave a bad taste in your mouth. Sorry that was like a sad ending, but it was True Crime Slender Man edition, and this is our urban legend episode. So we just want to thank everyone that listened.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Chris, cheer up. Chris is so sad from that story. I am too, but he's really showing it right now. It's all right, babe. We'll get through it.
Yeah, it's just I hate hearing about kids getting hurt.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I hope you have a good weekend, and we will see you next week.
And next week, this time, we'll have a puppy, so you'll hear all about our puppy.
Yay.
It's better than murder, okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night.